Hello, my name is Hyewon Jeon. I'm from South Korea, but I'm currently living in Vietnam. Today, I'm going to talk about UN SDG 16. May I start?
Yes, you may.
8 people were shot in Atlanta massage businesses. 8 out of 6 were Asian women. There has been a debate on whether the shooter's motive was sexism or racism, but one thing remains clear: it was a hate crime. This is just an only recent violent attack on minorities, a part of a surge in abuse since the start of COVID-19 last year. What is the cause of the xenophobic violence and hate crimes? Well, it can be partly attributed to personal discontent towards minority. I believe the main cause lies at the lack of action plans on an organizational level. I will present 3 reasons. First, the history of racism and xenophobia has shown mistreatment towards minorities subsides with the passage of anti-discrimination policies. In the past, laws such as apartheid of South Africa and Jim Crow laws of the United States have not only justified discrimination, but also inhumane treatment towards minorities. After the abolition of such unjust laws and the passage of anti-discrimination laws, it was when finally hate crimes were no longer lightly dismissed. Though the remnants of segregation persisted in the form of personal discontent, the presence of anti-discrimination policy was able to deter these hate crimes. However, we have to remember discrimination and hate never disappear, but adapts to new circumstances. This is why action plans against racism and xenophobia have to be constantly reproposed and updated. A good example of this is the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act of the United States. Therefore, enacting anti-discrimination policies suitable to the status quo would dramatically decrease hate crimes towards minorities. Secondly, the lack of action plans on regulating fake news and hateful contents about minorities. Fear and insecurity easily transforms into hate when exposed to pouring information of hate and fake news. This is because infodemic impairs people's ability to discern facts, renders them to believe unfounded evidence, which results in hateful sentiments towards minorities. To make the situation worse, the speed to hate virus travels is only more facilitated by social media. According to the American Journal of Public Health, after former President Trump used the hashtag Chinese virus in Twitter, the hashtag usage boosted, as well as Asian hate crimes cases. This means that the hate crime virus is invisibly killing those minorities. As a result, we need the improvement of action plans on the balancing between the guaranteeing the right to freedom of expression and the restriction on harmful contents. Finally, the lack of support on economic way to minorities. There exist a huge racial disparities on poverty rates. According to the US Census Bureau in 2021, the poverty rates of Black and Hispanic Americans were double the rate of whites. In the capitalist society, where money is power, these minorities are put in the most vulnerable classes due to both classism and racism. This is why they become the scapegoats of the pandemic. According to the Forbes, many US immigrant women of colors with low English skills work in massage parlors involving sexual acts to earn higher incomes. While they're exposed to constant sexual harassment and assaults, they continue this job to earn for themselves and their families. As a result, without the action plans to provide them with economic security, which is equivalent to protecting their human rights, the hate crimes won't cease towards minorities. To summarize, the lack of action plans is the cause of these hate crimes. Not only has history shown laws have decreased hate crimes, but also there are a lack of action plans on regulating hateful contents and economic support for minorities. I want to end the speech by saying this: in order for us to overcome this hate virus, everyone has to remember this quote by Martin Luther King Jr. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a quick question. Hyewon, you mentioned that these action plans need to be updated. If there was one thing that you would think the current plans need to be updated to deal with these days, what would it be?
So since many of these hate crimes are happening in the United States, I would give you an example from the United States. So one of the updates that I've heard in the Hate Crimes Act, COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, was actually making hate crimes report more accessible to the police officers, so the police officers can actually start on solving these issues quickly on, because I've heard that they're not prioritized to a certain level, which they really have to be, so that the criminals could be punished more faster and with a higher sentences. So I think the United States, that law itself, which is ongoing, is pretty well, and I think they handled it well.
Okay.